All right, let's get it going. Got a question for you to start us off real quick. Do you think Joel Embiid could win MVP this year?
He probably had the narrative, especially if Ben Simmons leaves and they're a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. He almost won last year. He probably was the front runner before he got hurt, him and LeBron James. But if Ben Simmons leaves, has that narrative, yeah, I think Joel Embiid can win MVP.
You think, and you're saying you think with or without Ben?
Yeah, I think so.
So, I mean, I guess that goes into question two. I mean, you mentioned, top 4. Do you think Philly could be a top 4 seed without Ben?
It depends on who they get back. It like D'Angelo Russell.
I'm just
D'Angelo Russell.
I'm saying the roster they have now.
Without Ben Simmons?
Yeah, I'm saying like with the roster they have now, like if he didn't play. Like with Ben still being on the team.
I get what you're saying.
Did not play, yeah.
I mean, possibly, yeah. Because if you look at the Eastern Conference, it's kind of like it's only 2 teams that we really can say that like are probably guaranteed locks to be a top 3 seed, and that's the Bucks, that's the Brooklyn Nets, and then everybody else. You look at Philly, you look at the Hawks, you look at the Knicks, you look at Miami. They all could be fighting for that 3rd spot. So I'm gonna say yeah.
I mean, I would even throw Chicago in there too. But I think the funny thing is about those teams is that they all feel like they would definitely be locks, probably like for a top 3 or top 4 seed, especially if Ben, doesn't play this year with Philly. It's like, top 2 to me is no question, but that 3rd one, I guarantee you, each of those teams and fans of those teams probably feel like there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to finish 3rd, and they would probably question what other team outside of those 2 is better than the Eastern Conference.
That's definitely true, but it's some teams. To be honest, I feel like a lot of teams they're looking at one. I don't feel like the Miami Heat are going to be afraid of the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't feel like the Chicago Bulls are going to be afraid of the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't feel like if a great trade package with Ben Simmons and let's say D'Lo comes back, or maybe who knows if he goes to the Warriors or whatever. We don't know the situation, but if or maybe Dame and Joel Embiid team up, who knows? But it's just like even the Philadelphia Sixers depend on the trade package. I think they're not looking at. I don't think teams looking at Milwaukee. I think they're looking at the Brooklyn Nets. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I know probably Brooklyn is the people's favorite or the popular favorite to win it all, even though Milwaukee is still the reigning champs. But I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see though if Philly can kind of pair Joel Embiid up with another point guard. I mean, obviously, people are mentioning Dame. You mentioned D'Lo, but I mean, I think regardless. It's a pretty, interesting take to say Joel can win MVP this year. Obviously, him being a top candidate last year plays into that. But I think even going into this year, he might feel like he still has something to prove.
Yeah, he could be the favorite. To be honest, like we kind of saw with Russell Westbrook when Kevin Durant left, and then like if Ben Simmons leaves the Philadelphia Sixers, and Joel Embiid's going like, yo, I was the MVP before I got hurt with Ben Simmons, and now like Ben Simmons wants to leave, I'm gonna show him that I could be still MVP. And then still lead this team to a top 3 seed without Ben Simmons, especially if they get just a decent player coming back. They're going to get a decent player, but we just don't know who. But if they get an all-star, watch out.
I mean, if the Sixers get a top 3 seed without Ben Simmons playing, I mean that's pretty damn good in my opinion for Joel Embiid to get that MVP vote. But I think regardless if he plays or doesn't, I mean, I can easily see it happening. Anytime, I'm saying, you finish in the top 3, top 5 in terms of voting for MVP, I think the following year, especially when nothing crazy has changed, it's definitely a possibility. But I'm expecting some crazy numbers for him, though. Because one thing about MVPs, too, though, I think they depend on opportunity, right? So if Ben isn't there, right, that just opens the door for, more shots for Joel. And I mean, we already saw what he can do with Ben. So now to see what he would be as the extreme number 1 option, even though he already was, could probably increase his numbers even more. Who knows?
Yeah, it'd be interesting, but Joel Embiid got to focus on his health. So it's certain players that we talked about like how like, you're going for that scoring title. That's not always a good thing. Same thing when it comes to MVP sometimes, like for a durability standpoint. I don't know if Joel Embiid should be going for the MVP for a durability standpoint because like he needs to focus on being right when it matters the most. So especially if you get like a D'Lo back, or you get like maybe you get, the crop of all crops, Damian Leonard or something like that of that caliber. He doesn't need to focus on MVP. He needs to focus on being healthy for the playoffs when it matters the most.
Yeah, I'm with that. Obviously, you should prioritize winning the championship over everything else. But I mean, I will say he's definitely come a long way in terms of health. I mean, obviously, Philly fans know trusting the process has been a very, very long process in some people's eyes. But I mean, to see where he's at now and see where the team is at now, I know obviously the Ben Simmons situation, but I mean, it would just be cool to see another big man win MVP, right? It would be back-to-back years of that. But I mean, it would take a lot, but I think it's definitely doable. And someone mentioned to me too, about Joel Embiid. Another possible candidate that someone threw at me was Russell Westbrook, like winning MVP. And obviously, I know he's won it before, but I mean, that's an interesting and I feel like a hot take. Not any slight to Russ, but anytime you're playing with not just LeBron, but Anthony Davis, to still be seen as a possible MVP candidate is a pretty cool or interesting thing to say. How do you feel about it?
No, it's kind of like it depends on a lot of things got to happen probably for that to happen. Similar to like James Harden, like we saw LeBron go down, we saw Joel Embiid go down. People looking around like, yo, James Harden going crazy, playing a point guard position with Kyrie Irving on the wings and Kevin Durant on the wings. So for Russell Westbrook, I feel that and it's crazy because like I feel like this season coming up, I can't tell you like who's gonna win the MVP. Like sometimes you have like a notion of like, yo, it's probably gonna be Giannis or James Harden, and LeBron's always possibly gonna be there because it's LeBron James. But it's like this season we don't really know. Like I can't give you a person. So like maybe Russell Westbrook does come in and with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and he shows he can be that third option. And he kind of play that, that point guard role, which he's been a point guard his entire career, but play it really, really well and efficiently, and getting LeBron easy looks. And maybe LeBron's stats take a drop because he's worried for the postseason. Anthony Davis is better with Russell Westbrook, and that pick and roll is going to be dynamic. It's going to be very special. So who knows? It's just kind of like James Harden with the Brooklyn Nets. James Harden, I knew when he was going because he played point guard with the Houston Rockets, but it's just kind of like you give a great guard that can facilitate and create for others, more great players, he's going to even look more special.
Only thing that scares me though is that guys may end up splitting votes. When you have KD and Steph on the same team, with the Warriors. Now you got 3 Hall of Famers on the same team. With the Lakers and Nets, people tend to vote for. I think it happened too with Embiid, Saric, and I want to say Brogdon, their rookie year. It's like, obviously when you got 2 teammates that are very talented and can win an award on the court and winning games, that's a very good thing. But in terms of winning awards,
it's kind of
like you got to pick one or the other.
Yeah, and that's corny because it's just kind of like just give the best player who's having the best season the award. But it's also a lot of favoritism that goes into that because we've seen players with lesser, teammates than other guys, and they still give the award to this player because he's more liked in the media and stuff like that. Because I can argue that James Harden probably should have 3 MVP awards. So it's just kind of like it is what it is in a way. But it's definitely gonna be interesting.
I mean, there's a bunch of players that probably should have more.
I'm just talking about more so recently though.
Okay.
Recently, and then you look at it. Who's probably going to be the front runner? I'll take that back. Probably like it may be Luka Dončić, and I thought Luka was going to win last year because he's going to have the narrative. As long as if Luka and the Dallas Mavericks can get in the top 4 seed, just get ready to give that award to Luka Dončić because he's a media darling. They love him. He's going to have the stats, the statistical numbers, and then people are going to say, he's winning. He's a top 4. They're a top 4 seed in the West, and the West is always hard and challenging. That's probably a player that probably is going to be the favorite to win this year's MVP award. But it's crazy because, like, I said this kind of last year. What if Trae Young was the 4th or 5th seed last year, putting up crazy numbers, didn't even make the All-Star game, didn't get an All-NBA. You get what I'm saying? When it talks about it's different strokes for different folks. So it's just kind of like, what if Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks are a top 4 seed and Trae Young's putting up 25-9, shooting high 40s, shooting 40% for the 3-point line, 9% for the field. he's probably not going to even get a look. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy to think about, but it's just like, especially if they're a top 4 seed or top 3 seed, he probably won't even get a look. But it's just like if another player do the same thing, it's kind of like, that's why I say it's all about the narratives when it comes to the MVP awards. Not really goes to necessarily the best player, and we all know that for the regular season.
Yeah, I think though, like the lowest, a seed you could probably be is like 4. In my opinion, like if I had a vote, like outside of, I want to say like the Russ year, which obviously we know was history what he did, like you would definitely have to crack that top 4 unless, again, like you have absolutely no one on your team or someone gets injured and you still go crazy.
Yes.
What?
Bro, it was people talking about Steph Curry as the MVP and his team was fighting for a play-in spot. I'm just saying it's different.
Those aren't things I'm entertaining though. That's not a realistic.
He finished top 3 this.
But I'm saying though, not realistic to me. Not realistic to me. That's not something I'm going to entertain. But I mean, I know Steph kind of, he was going crazy, and also too, you got to remember. I guess injuries, and then it goes down to who else are you putting in there, like who else are you putting in that 3 to replace Steph? Like it's easy to say like he doesn't belong, but then as we always do these lists and rankings, well, who else are you putting ahead of him in terms of that conversation?
All I can say is, if that was James Harden last year doing what Steph was doing and battling for a play-in spot, it wouldn't even be a thought. Just like I just told you, like last year, people were talking about like Luka Dončić deserves to be in the top 5. Trae Young had a better season. His team was winning. Didn't make the All-Star game. Didn't make an All-NBA team. And his team was a top 5 seed. So don't be surprised this year if you look at like certain situations when it comes to certain different players where the situations are very similar, but one player is seen to a higher standard than another player. And that's what I'm saying. I don't even really like the MVP anymore because it's just like, it's such a narrative-based award. And it's really kind of ridiculous because it's like, it used to be where the MVP is just like, yo, the MVP, like they really went out there and got that award. But sometimes like recently it's just like, damn, I don't, it's been a few years where I really feel like, yo, this guy really don't deserve the MVP award. Or this guy doesn't really deserve the Defensive Player of the Year award. This guy probably shouldn't have made the All-NBA team over this player. Like Damian Lillard, for example. We had a podcast, we talked about it. Dame has a legitimate case of a couple of years. He probably should have been first team All-NBA, but it's just kind of like more like a popularity contest for the people that are voted on these awards or who they feel like they like or who they gravitate more to. And it just tends to be these guys that I always talk about are the so-called media darlings in the NBA.
All right. So let me ask you something. What would it take for certain players, whoever you want to name, what would it take for certain players to not be considered media darlings? Like, is there anything that Luka can do for you to be considered not a media darling?
No, because I saw it coming his rookie season. It's like certain players you could just see it happening. So it's like, no, it's nothing Luka can do to not be a media darling, just like it's nothing Stephen Curry can do to not be a media darling. Or Giannis Antetokounmpo. It just is what it is, bro.
To be clear, to play devil's advocate here, you just named 3 for sure, not just all-stars and even Hall of Famers, but guys that deserve at least some recognition. And I know that you're not saying that they don't.
Yeah, I'm not.
But I don't. When I hear media darlings, I think of like guys that are just overrated, that the media can't stop talking about, that if it was anybody else, right, people like Luka versus Russ.
This is
when Luka gets triple doubles, it's like, oh, Luka magic. When Russ averages for 3 straight seasons, like, oh well, that's what Russ does all the time. It's like people get used to it.
We've seen that. Luka Dončić did a between the legs pass, and it was on every highlight. Oh my God, he's the greatest passer. He had people that are respected in this industry talking about Luka's a better passer than James Harden. James Harden gets cheap assists. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. And James Harden does that same move countless of times. So that's what I'm saying. It's just kind of like, it's just a lot of favoritism that goes on with different players, and it sucks because it's like, I just got to call it out. I'm just saying it is what it is, and the players know this. You think James Harden don't know this? Like I did a post one time out on my Instagram, AKSNBA, and I was talking about the difference between Stephen Curry and James Harden when it comes to last year's regular season. James Harden did what Stephen Curry did for several seasons. and didn't even win the MVP. And I was like, well, Stephen Curry's fighting for a play-in spot, and they're talking about he should win the MVP, and he should be a top 3 seed. And you know who liked that post? James Harden. So it's just kind of like the players actually know themselves what goes on in the media and how people are perceived and how people are viewed differently in similar situations than other guys. And that's all I'm saying. I'm just calling it out. I'm not saying like it's Luka's fault or it's Giannis' fault or Stephen Curry's fault, but it's just like nobody's going to say it. So I'm going to be the guy to say it because it's just the truth. And it may hurt, but like it is what it is.
No, I definitely agree with you though, but I think context is important too. Like I don't think we could just leave it as, James did what Steph did, and Steph is still in the MVP conversation, but James Harden wasn't. I think it's also important to remember who else was, in the top 3 voting or whatnot, and what also happened during that season. Were there injuries during that season? And I definitely hear you, but the media darling and obviously the top 3 that you name is Steph, Luka, Giannis, but also there's context that should be provided in terms of who else was there. Now I get it. To be an MVP candidate and not even make the playoffs is kind of wild.
It's crazy.
Of, what season?
it's insane. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
I think the recency bias and maybe like Steph led the league in scoring but it wasn't winning games. But if it was James Harden, guy who can finish in the top 5 in like points and assists, it would be different.
It ain't even got to be James Harden. I'll give you another. Bradley Beal basically did the same thing Stephen Curry did.
In terms of scoring?
In terms of scoring, leading his team to a play-in situation that was an 8th seed. He did the exact same thing Stephen Curry did. But you know what? Nobody this entire last season was talking about Bradley Beal should be in the MVP conversation. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It's just like, it's crazy. That's all I'm saying. Like, that's the perfect example. I don't even got to use James Harden and what he did with the Houston Rockets. Bradley Beal did the same exact thing.
Yeah,
that Stephen Curry did. Yeah. And nobody even mentioned it. Not even a peep, not even a sound, not even a consideration. Bradley Beal was just thankful he got on the All-NBA team last year.
Which is crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, the whole media darlings, man. And it's other players. Don't think it's just like Luka, Steph Curry, Giannis. Those just the top 3 that come to
right.
Top 3 that come to mind.
Oh no, they're definitely out there.
No,
I'm fully aware of that. But those are the top guys that that get mentioned. But even in Bradley, I mean, that's a good point too. It just sucks to see like when certain players do the exact same thing, or it's not far fetched to compare what one player did to another one, but yet another player is getting so much praise for, in a way, doing the exact same thing.
And it even works reverse.
When it comes to a player getting criticized?
Yeah, when a player getting criticized. We heard for the first 2 seasons, Trae Young's a loser. Trae Young would never be a winning player. Trae Young would never ever lead his team to the playoffs. I was like, damn, Trae Young, look at his roster. His team doesn't have any help. Get him a roster, and you're gonna see that Trae Young's a winning player. He's been winning his entire career. That's what I said. But
what happened this season?
And he won. And he won
because they gave him a roster, and obviously he performed well. Yeah,
and they gave him a roster. But in this year, people say Luka Dončić doesn't have a good team around him. That's what people say. Luka Dončić doesn't have a good team. He doesn't. Trae has a better team with the Atlanta. I'm like, Luka Dončić. They was up 2-0 the past 2 years in the playoffs against the Los Angeles Clippers and lost 4 straight each time. I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, come on now. Like
people weren't saying that until Trae started winning.
Until Trae started winning.
None of that shit. They weren't saying none of it.
That's what I'm saying, man.
But the minute his comparison starts winning some games, well, it's I
don't want to hear that. That's what I said. I don't want to hear it, man. It's crazy to me.
It's a new year, so this the year. It's funny. I'm obviously not even asking for a chip. I'm not even asking for an MVP, but you got the first round, please. That's the request I have on the table.
Yeah. So we start putting these guys. We start putting these guys, in these categories and stuff. It's just crazy. And then we look at it was a top 10 list that came out. It's just it gets to a point where it gets disrespectful. I think James Harden was ranked number 9. And
no, we don't gotta acknowledge that list. We don't have to acknowledge that list. We'll create our own at some point. We don't gotta acknowledge it. We gotta acknowledge it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's crazy to me, bro. And even like you just look at the young players like Jason Tatum, like you always say, like Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker. It's just like, Trae Young, like
Zion's on the way.
Yeah, it's just kind of like,
Let me ask you something. Watch this. Here we go. I got a question for you. And this isn't a cap or no cap. This is just a question. Who do you think has more to prove this season, Zion or Luka?
I mean, I have no faith in the New Orleans Pelicans.
See, you're talking about organization. Who has more to prove this year, player-wise? Luka or Zion?
Man, I've got the sniffles. I'm trying to not pump fake.
Flu game.
It's my flu pod. Probably Zion, because Luka's been to the playoffs. Been a number one scoring option. Average 28 and 8 and 9.
That's probably crazy.
Probably Zion. Zion got to try to compete to get to the playoffs at least. Maybe beat it. I mean, try to get to the 8th seed. So probably Zion.
Okay, I'll take the opposing stance. I'll say Luka. As you've mentioned before, we both agree that Luka is in that conversation of those 5 young guys, right? But there's people that believe that Luka and James Harden should be mentioned in the same sentence. So if that's the case, I think it's time we start to put the pressure on, right? It's one thing to put the pressure on for you to be compared to those top, those 5 guys, 25 and under. But if we're going to compare you to MVP, I need you to at least give me a second round appearance. And again, he's still young. He ain't been, Luka ain't been in the league for, 10, 15 years. And I don't think it's too much to ask if we're going, crown you a top 5 player in the league to get to the second round. Just like I don't think it's too much to ask, if you MVP candidate to make the playoffs, right? There's nothing wrong with these types of requests. Ain't nobody telling you to beat, the Nets in a 7-game series. No one is telling you to average 50. Just make it to the second round, please. That's not a it's not a dangerous request, especially considering we're about to be entering, a year where there's still injuries out there. So, just gotta make it work.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you know how I feel. You know my stance. That's 100%, 100% agree. So I really don't have too much to say about that. You hit it right on the nail. You've been consistent with that, which is surprising because which is very surprising because we know how you feel about certain players in the league.
What you mean? No. Don't sub. What do you mean? How I feel about certain players in the league? What does that mean?
You have a tendency.
I like winning basketball. I have a tendency what?
You have a tendency to gravitate towards media darlings a little bit.
Here we go. What are you talking about? My favorite players are Russ and Kemba. You think they're media darlings?
No. You've been on the Giannis train a little minute since he won that championship.
Okay,
but I respect it.
And you know what's funny? I've given Giannis more respect once he's proven stuff. I've increased his ranking. Right, once he won the chip. It ain't like, I started off this podcast with Luka, and then he was losing, and I still was like, Luka. No. I literally said, once Trae won, I even apologized. I even came on here and apologized. Like, honestly, Trae, I knew you was cold, but you just wild out in the playoffs. That's true. Now, for like the past 6 episodes, I'm saying, Luka, with all that magic shit, that's cool, but let's win some basketball games. Man said, my take. No, hell no. Hell no. You think I'm going to just let that slide? That's crazy.
Okay.
That's crazy.
I respect it.
I acknowledge the real and I acknowledge when I'm wrong. And for the record, I never said like Trae was bad. I just, for me, I was one of those people that did have Luka, slightly ahead of Trae. It wasn't like a huge gap. I didn't, but now it's like, oh no. But again, like to me, players have to prove it. It ain't like, what I'm saying, when players go out there and perform, I'm still stuck on a take. If a player goes out there and prove me wrong, I'm going to say it. I ain't about to hang on to, some once they go out there and go crazy. Just like if Luka make it to the Western Conference Finals or whatever, we going to talk. Guys perform, that changes my take. Very simple. Very, very simple.
So who do you talk, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but who do you feel, other than, let's not say Kevin Durant, James Harden, you talked about Luka, let's not mention those 3, or Russ. I'll just give you a whole list.
Yeah, I was going to say, you want to say the entire All-Star game?
Who do you feel like is under the most pressure to kind of like, who gets a lot of like, we know he's cold. We know he's this. We know like, he's a special player. But who do you feel that like is under a lot of pressure this season?
I got a name for you, but I want to make sure, I don't miss anybody else.
Because we talk about, we talk about the key guy. You talk about Luka. We talk about Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook.
I got a name for you. You ready?
No.
Devin Booker. The reason why I say that is people like you. Okay. When we talk about the Suns, what they did last year, everyone's talking about how, and I know you know that Devin Booker's cold, but in terms of like the reason why they got there, people mention the injuries, right? People mention that the road they had to travel to get there, them losing the finals, which is all true, right? You're not blind to it, right? You play teams that were injured and you win, you'll get congratulations, but people will still mention, well, I mean, the Lakers were kind of banged up. The Clippers didn't really have Kawhi, so on and so forth, right? And so to see what Devin Booker can now do this year, right? Can he repeat and bring that team to the finals? Can he enter MVP conversation? Can he keep it up? And again, he's been this way, right? He's been a very talented ball player. Like, for those that do not know, this should not have been a surprise season for him. But now that he really, really, really is on the map and has made it to the finals, right? Can he, as well as the entire Suns roster, make sure this last year wasn't a fluke, right? Will the Suns turn into the Heat, right, of last year? Will they be a team that just made it and that was just their golden year? Or will this be a follow-up year where we say, all right, no, Devin Booker's here. Like we knew it, right? We saw him go to the finals. We know that even though he wasn't on national television in years prior, even before, what he did in the bubble, can this be the year where we finally say, all right, Devin Booker now needs to be in a different conversation, So that's who I would go with. We know he's cold, but yeah, that's who I would go with.
Nah, that's not a bad one. I would say Devin Booker's still super young, so it's kind of like he's gonna have some time.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't know which direction you wanted me to go.
Young. But yeah, I'm gonna do a young guy, and then you can do an older guy, and then
I got you.
We'll do the last segment. I'm gonna go for a younger guy, Ja Morant. Ja's been talking a little spicy, interviews with Taylor Rooks, doing a lot of, said he was a top 5 point guard in the world other than those 5 guys that we know. I think it was like Chris Paul, Stephen Curry, Russell Westbrook, Damian Lillard, and I'm probably forgetting another.
Him?
I know he said he was top 5 after those 5.
I'm not mad at it, by the way. I'm gonna let you go, but I'm not mad at it at all.
I'm not mad at all because he wants to be in that upper echelon someday. He's going to be. I think that's his potential. But he was also talking about like how the Olympics called him, and they didn't invite him first or something, like how he wasn't going to go. I'm gonna need Ja Morant to really show this year, like, are you going to enter that category with Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, Luka Dončić, Jason Tatum? Are you enter that category? That's what I need to see. I need to see him enter that category because he's talking real like, and I love Ja. I said I would draft Ja number 1 overall over Zion Williamson because that's how much I believe in his game. But it's just kind of like it's a guard heavy league. Like, I know Ja made it to the playoffs with the Memphis Grizzlies. Shout out to them. They beat San Antonio. They beat the Golden State Warriors. But it's just kind of like I'm gonna need Ja to show me, like, in year 3, like, I'm really him, because I can look at some other players that I'm looking like, Ja, you say you top 5 point guard. You think you're a top 5 point guard after those key 5 players, but like, I don't know if you're better than De'Aaron Fox. We don't. There's some people that don't think you're better than the SGA. It's people that you're not better than Trae Young. You know what I'm saying? Like, Trae Young probably not in that category to some people. So it's just kind of like, I'm gonna need you to show that, yo, are you better than some of these guys in your group before we start saying that, yo, like, I'm a top 5 guy after the legends. These point guards has been in stamp for a while. No, you need to show me, are you better than some of these young core guys in your group first, or have you reached that category, reached that level of when we think about top 25 players and under, we mention your name in that top 5? Because I don't even know if we do a top 10 list, is he going to be on that list? He should be. He probably will be, but I just...
in terms of like 25 and under?
25 and under. That's what I'm saying. So you start talking about like top 5 point guards, top 5 guards. I'm gonna need you, especially point guard. He said point guards. I'm gonna need you to show if you better than De'Aaron Fox, if you better than SGA, if you better than Trae Young, because Trae Young stamped. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think the thing is with Jazz right now. Unfortunately, I would say the thing is that when people look at him, he's an exciting player to watch.
Yeah,
right? The dunks, the Instagram highlights. It's like he's a highlight worthy player, right? People want to see him in the dunk contest, but now this season it's like again that's all good.
Yeah,
win. Now it's all good, but produce, and not to say that he hasn't done either of those things.
No, because he has.
Right. If we're going to put you in that category of those top 5 guys, those guys win, right? Yeah. Those guys are skilled, and again, not saying he does not do that, but there's a lot different between being exciting, people wanting to tune in, and us looking at you and say like, oh yeah, this brother's top 5 point guards in the league. Yeah. And so I'm obviously rooting for him. Obviously, I think what they're building in Memphis can be crazy, especially with him leading the charge. But if we're going to put him in that bracket, that's what I'm saying. The same way we did with Trae. The same way you mentioned. People talking about Trae this, Trae that. When he won, it got real silent.
Yeah.
It got real silent. And like I said, not only did he produce, but he won. So if we're going to put, John, in that category,
that's a perfect thing you win some. That's a perfect thing you said. That's what I'm saying. When player, I love it. I love the confidence. I love the bravado.
Facts.
I love it all. When you talking spicy, go out and show that you him. Because when you sit up and you say that you think you part of that top 5, Russell Westbrook, Damian, Stephen Curry, all. Chris Paul, Chris Paul. You say you after that 5. Well, you got to show me you better than SGA, De'Aaron Fox, and you better than Trae Young. You got to show me you better than those guys first, because you can't just
even mention a name that I've been waiting for you to say. You ain't mentioned a name that I was waiting for you to say, and that's LaMelo.
Oh, even LaMelo, because that's LaMelo Ball. Because it's just like that's what I'm saying. If you going Frogger, he trying to let the game Frogger leap hop his way over the top 5. Yeah. No, you got it. No, I'm not gonna let that slide. You got to show me you better than LaMelo Ball, Trae Young, SGA, De'Aaron Fox, and it ain't a toss up either. I mean, like better than these guys.
Yeah,
because you talking about you getting spicy talking about after Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Damian Lillard, Luka, whatever. If Luka a point guard, I don't consider Luka a point guard. I'm just saying these guys, like, nah, Ja, you got to show me, because like you said, it's a difference between being one of the most top 5 exciting players to watch in the NBA and being an actual top 5 player at your position. So if you're gonna talk spicy, Ja, you got to show me.
And I think he can do it too. I think the 5 guys that you named, the Luka, the Steph, Dame, Russ, Chris Paul, those guys. They're like, I can't think.
I feel like I'm missing. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, Stephen Curry, Russell Westbrook. Who's the 4th? Because Luka's not really a
I would say, Kyrie Irving.
There we go.
I would throw Luka in there just because, but
he's really a shooting guard.
I'm saying if I had to,
but Kyrie
5 in there.
Kyrie. I know I was missing somebody. I couldn't think of it like Kyrie Irving. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo.
So those 5, that's a tier. That's a bracket. That's, and even still, I feel like we're low-key missing somebody. But that's a 5 right there, right? And I would even say a healthy John Wall. But either way, right? But then the next 5 of tier of young point guards, you got the Ja, the De'Aaron, the LaMelo, the Shea. That's where I think Ja is right now. And so for him to make that jump, win, right? Like that, because look, that's gonna be the advantage that he really has over those other guys, right?
Because he's in a better he's in a better situation.
Yeah, Shea is on Oklahoma City. LaMelo, I like what they're doing in Charlotte, but in terms of making the playoffs and everything like that. But none of those guys are in like situations where it's like, oh yeah, they about to be a top 3 seed in the East or West. So
and it's crazy.
If you win, you got that as your case.
And it's crazy because you know what? Ja, you got to win, but you also got to be consistent. Because I'm looking at some of these other. I'm looking at Trae Young. Trae Young was getting work with a terrible team. Like, you know what I'm saying? So De'Aaron Fox is putting in work. SGA be putting in work. Like, you look at Ja. You look at Ja Morant's box scores sometimes. I know the game is more about box scores. Trust me, but I'm just saying, like, statistically, Ja. Okay, like that's a big claim to say that, like, yo, after Kyrie Irving, Russell Westbrook, Damian Lillard,
and
Chris Paul,
Ben Simmons.
Yeah, he gonna have to show.
That's
what I said. That's what I said. I'm holding. Kemba
Walker.
I'm gonna remember that because I'm gonna bring this up throughout the entire year because I'm gonna watch Memphis games. I'm gonna watch Ja Morant play because I like Ja. That's what I'm saying. I was saying I'll give me Ja over Zion, but it's just kind of like when it comes. It's like we say when it comes to this attitude, this mentality, this bravado-ness, this ego. You got to show because it's gonna be people like me that's gonna hold people like accountable because like everybody when he said that people weren't thinking about. I was like, hold the hell up, pump the brakes. Did he just say what I think he said? I'm like, okay, I respect it. You feel that way,
but you know what though? A lot of people like Ja. A lot of people like Ja. Like it's hard not to like Ja. Like guys like him, Anthony Edwards. Like it's hard to dislike players like that. But then when you go out and say that, even the people that like Ja that even know basketball, like you said, your reaction, it might have been a hold up, but it wasn't like, all right, bro, that, calm the hell down. It was more like, all right, that's how you feel, prove it.
Yeah.
Prove that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, go ahead. Trust me, I want
you.
him to be like, what? Yeah. If Ja's the top 5 point guard in Memphis, like, to me, what that will do to that city and bring them back to just, where they were, years back and stuff, that would be amazing. I think Memphis is, to me, starving for a superstar. So if he can do that, you know what I'm saying? The season is starting soon. So we got to do a top 10 list, and we have to do a top 25 and under. Yeah, or just a top with TikTok, y'all.
Just a top 10 young players. In the game.
All of it. So top 10 young players, 25 and under, top 10. I want to do everything, bro. Small forwards,
guards,
top 5 shooting guards,
top 10 guards.
A drawn
point
out,
guards.
Point guards, all of that. 2 episodes, one with teams, one with players, all of that. Because we got to set some shit straight.
Give us an older player real quick, and then we're going to get into cap or no cap.
Yeah, so I can't think of an older player at the moment than this person right here, but I'm going to say this name and let me know if you are willing to accept.
I think you're going to say it.
You do? Who? Let me hear who.
Damian Lillard.
Oh, no. I'm not giving up on Damian Lillard, but the idea of like feeling like he had I'm saying though, like to me at this point, there's nothing else that Damian Lillard
He made his bed. He got to lay in it.
Can do it. Yeah. Like there's nothing realistically that I would expect from Dame. Like for real, think about it. Like Dame could literally go out there and average 29, 30 a game. All right, cool. I know he can score. Like I don't see the Trailblazers making it to the Western Conference Finals or Finals, so I won't even say Dame's name. But the name that I was gonna say is Zach LaVine. We know he's talented. We've been knew he was talented. We've seen what he's doing with Chicago. We've been begging for the Bulls to surround him with talent. You feel that he is the most talented Chicago Bull guard in history. But right now, he's been given the pieces. He's been given the tools. He's been given the players, around him. Again, added Lonzo, DeMar, Vucevic. There's now talent around you. So now any excuse of this organization, and I know, chemistry is one thing, this and that, but you got talent around you, okay? So now the next step to me is just figure it out, and like I always say, win basketball games. No one's going to question his stats, right? I'm not looking for, I don't really care about it. I know, you're going to put up numbers, but now let's win. You have pieces. I can't think of too many other things that would make me feel like, all right, Chicago didn't do enough. You have them. Produce. So that's who my guy would be.
Yeah, Zach LaVine's one of the most talented guards in NBA history. I said he was more talented.
We can check the tape.
I said he was more talented than Derrick Rose. You can't check that tape because I think that was all that was an audition. That was an audition where we was just getting crazy. So you can't check. You ain't got me on that. So
man, we're just saying crazy stuff for the audition.
You ain't got me on that. I think Zach LaVine's a top 10 talent. He's a top 10 talent in the NBA. So I do agree about his talent. And like you said, the Chicago Bulls put a roster around him. What you gonna do? Even though I feel like it's too late, and if they don't do anything, I'm not gonna look at Zach a certain way. But at the same time, like you said, you got some pieces. Like go out and do what the Phoenix Suns did last year. You're in the Eastern Conference. You have a team that can do that. You got players. You got proven players like DeMar DeRozan is proven. So it's like you got some pieces, some players you can get the ball to. Lonzo Ball, fix his jump shot, fix his mechanics. He's a viable offensive threat now. He can shoot the pill. Vucevic walking 20 and 10. You got some pieces. You go inside, outside game. You could got guys that can score every level. So it's just kind of like, go out and show me. Now, my player, Jimmy Butler.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I was going to say if I just say Zach. If you would have said like, yo, Zach is too young, I would have said Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler. New max contract. I think 33 years old. Know what he did in it. Know what he did in the NBA bubble. Fantastic. Gave us one of the greatest finals performance, for individually, statistical wise. Came back this season. COVID protocols, missed a lot of games, injuries as well. The Miami Heat wasn't impressive. Tyler Hero wasn't impressive. Bam was, up and down all year, forces aggression. Need him to improve that this year. Prove on your aggression. Go out and get it. All that like finesse game. No, go show us, Bam, like you are this dude, this center. But Jimmy Butler got to produce because Jimmy Butler, I think he averaged 12 points in the first round matchup against the Milwaukee Bucks and shot less than 40% from the field. It's okay to show out and ball in the NBA bubble where whatever people want to say, some people say it was the hardest because, they felt like they was doing a bid in jail, whatever. Some people said it was the easiest because they weren't traveling. You just had to go out and hoop. All the courts were the same. I need Jimmy Butler to come out and show that he's a top 5 player in the Eastern Conference because after that NBA bubble season, people were saying he was a top 10 player in the world. And I was like, you know what? Cool. That's fine. You after that run, we can't deny that. But for you to come back the following season and basically don't even look like you a top 20 player in the world, and then you get a favorable matchup, a team that you already beat in the Miami Heat, and y'all just kind of like, yo, I get it. They lost some key pieces from last year, that team, that following season, but at the same time, defensively, they didn't look there as well. And now you got Kyle Lowry, you got Victor Oladipo. People are asleep. He's not healthy right now, but Victor Oladipo comes back healthy. The Miami Heat's should be a problem. You got Bam, you got a top 3 head coach in the NBA, and most important, they got you, Jimmy Butler. You chose to not re-up with the Philadelphia Sixers because you want to be the number 1 option, so we're going to hold you to that standard. Go out and knock off one of these teams like the Miami Heat or like the Philadelphia Sixers, these top 3 seeds, and go make another Eastern Conference Finals run and possibly go to the NBA Finals because that's what I expect. I don't expect just like, oh, the Miami Heat made it to the first round, second round. No, I expect the Miami Heat to knock off the Milwaukee Bucks or the Philadelphia Sixers, whoever's top 3. I don't expect them to be the Brooklyn Nets. But I expect Brooklyn Nets to be the number 1 seed. I expect the Miami Heat to figure out that situation and make sure that, they're at least going to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's what I expect.
Yeah, I mean, for them, I think anything less than the Eastern Conference Finals
is a failure.
A failure. But again, I mean, if Brooklyn gets that,
they play the second round, of course.
Seeding, right? Yeah, it all depends on seeding. Because I mean, guys gonna rest. It's still COVID and health and safety protocol, so anything can happen seed wise. But unless they play Brooklyn in the second round or first, for that matter, to me they got to make the Eastern Conference Finals.
They got to.
They got to make the Eastern Conference Finals. And it's funny, like Miami is a team, man, like who I feel like if they played in a playing game, they still have the toughness to make the finals. I wouldn't say that about any other team though.
Yeah, like you got PJ Tucker. That's a big pickup.
In terms of dogs, in terms of guys that will just go to war, there's no other team to me that really sticks out. Like you got Jimmy, you got Kyle Lowry, you got PJ Tucker. I mean, they had Jay Crowder, they had Andre Iguodala. I mean, they don't have those guys anymore, but like, and again, that culture, right, with that organization, that's how they are. In terms of like if they're faced with a tough matchup in the first round, a playing game, whatever, and can make it out of that, to me, that's the team that could do it. I still think they should be higher than 7.
Of course, yeah. Without a doubt.
Did fall, I can see them picking it up.
Jimmy, but and a young player I could have said name too was on the same team as Jimmy. Tyler Hero. I'm watching you too as well. Good. Year 3. Everybody knows that sometimes year 2 guys have a sophomore slump. Year 3, Tyler, I'm watching because I need to see you. I need to see you do what you did in the bubble, and was that a fluke? Same with Jimmy Butler. I need to see players to show up in the playoffs and show I'm still here, because it's just it's not enough to do it in a situation where the circumstance was so crazy and unpredictable. And I know even going into this season, they're still a little bit crazy, unpredictable as well, similar to last year's playoffs, the COVID playoffs, I call it. But I need these guys to show up and to show out. And I need these guys to get it done because I believe they can. They got the defense ability. They got players. They got the dogs, like you said, Theus. But it's going to be about buckets and timely buckets. Really, how can you score with these top teams in the NBA, and also can you get timely buckets when you really need to?
Yeah, and now you're entering another year in the league, and it's all that rookie stuff is out the window now. You hear?
Yeah.
People know your name. You might have caught some people by surprise at first, but now it's all right, we got some serious expectations for you.
I'm gonna be looking at Tyler Hero until the Miami Heat win a championship, because
that's so heavy.
You know why.
I think you might want to start looking at the max contract guys. First.
No, the reason. I'm looking because Tyler Hero's a bucket. He's a problem. He can score. He's not. I'm saying he has some potential. He could be an all-star caliber guard someday. That was if he reaches his fullest potential. That was what I said. But people are talking about superstar. People are talking about, is he better than Devin Booker? Would you rather? People are talking about, would you rather?
I say that James Harden trade again.
That's what I'm saying. So he gotta show up. It's a lot of pressure on him too, as well as a young player. But Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, I'm watching, especially from a diehard Dwayne Wade fan. So I love basketball, but if I had to support a team, what team I'm gonna have to support.
Fact. So. And two things going off that real quick before you give your cap or no cap. One, do you think it was a complete bad decision from Philly to not keep Jimmy? Do you think not keeping Jimmy Butler ended up hurting them in the long run?
Yeah, I thought we was going to kind of talk to this a little bit in the beginning, but basically Joel Embiid came out and said because Ben Simmons, what I've been preaching for years, I think Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, they can work together, but it's just it's still an awkward fit. The Philadelphia Sixers built around Jimmy Butler, not Jimmy Butler, built around Joel Embiid and his strengths. They never really built around Ben Simmons. And then for Joel Embiid to come out and say, well, we kind of did because we got rid of Jimmy Butler because we want to keep the ball in your hands. I'm he's telling the truth, but at the same time, he's not really telling the truth, because that's not necessarily building around a particular player, Joel. That's not really the case. But for what they said, it seems like Jimmy Butler wanted to leave more so than it was some things that happened or whatever. But they said that Jimmy Butler wanted to leave and wanted to go be a number one option, like with the Miami Heat. So I can't really say it's Philly's fault for letting him go if Jimmy Butler really wanted to go. Because if he really didn't want to go, he probably would have stayed.
Right. But I just asked that in terms of if a talented player comes to you and says, I want to leave the organization, me as a GM, my first thought wouldn't be all right, cool, where you want to go? I'd be all right, let's sit down, let's try and work this out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Philly did that or not, but it's still Jimmy Butler. So that was the first question I had, and then two, I want to make sure we say this on this episode before the cap or no cap. Happy belated to Kevin Durant. Generational talent. We give players, their followers all the time on this show, but obviously we don't even need to go down the entire list of what KD has meant to the game of basketball, and just from a talent perspective. He's one of those players where you have to appreciate greatness and understand that we will probably never ever see another player like Kevin Durant ever again. And that's just a fact of the matter. A 7-footer that can shoot and put the ball on the floor, and create offense for himself from anywhere on the court. Arguably the greatest player of all time offensively. One of the greatest, scorers of all time and all that. So just, happy belated to KD.
Shout out.
Mention that.
No, definitely. Shout out KD. You know how I feel. KD's arguably the best player in the world. I feel that you got to start appreciating these guys' greatness. And don't wait till LeBron James is in his farewell tour in a couple of seasons and be like, damn, this really it for LeBron. Don't do that with Kevin Durant. Because Kevin Durant, regardless of how y'all feel about the Golden State Warriors situation, all that nonsense, the man still is a 2-time NBA champion, 2-time Finals MVP, one of the most efficient scorers in the history of the game. You can plug him in any offense and he's going to work perfected. He's going to work beautifully and he's going to perfect his game to that type of offense. That's people don't talk about that when they talk about Kevin Durant. You can plug Kevin Durant in any offense in the NBA and he's going to fit in and it's going to be a problem because that's his game is that simple, that smooth, and that easy because he's such a bucket. Like you said, 7 foot, can handle it like a guard. He's special. To me, he's a top 10 player of all time and a top 10 talent this NBA league has ever seen in the history of the NBA. So,
hey, we gonna
shout out to KD.
We gonna need that timestamp. You heard that, Scott? I already know Ahmad gonna ask for it. So when we done, make sure my man gets that timestamp. That was some real shit. All right. Let's go. What you got for me? Cap or no cap?
Yeah, to cap or no cap. Cap or no. So we're gonna talk about the Dallas Mavericks. Might as well talk about a little bit more. Cap or no cap. Kristaps Porzingis will return to All-Star form under new head coach Jason Kidd.
I hope so. I hope so. Shit me. Luka better hope so. Because what the hell have we seen from that man?
Disrespect is outrageous.
Go
ahead. Say what you gotta say. Give me a cap. Say cap or no cap.
I will. I ain't ducking. Let me just, you know what I'm saying? Let me get there. Let me get to the starting line. But yeah, I really do hope so. Because sometimes it's, you hear it, you mention it. Luka doesn't have a good team. It's almost like, well, I mean, I don't know if I'm about to sit there and disagree, but all right, let's get serious for a moment. All right, damn, cap or no cap?
Oh my God,
Kristaps Porzingis will return to All-Star form. Now I'm not like you, man. I don't like to just say, a player is a top 10 talent. I don't like to just say such and such is going to do this. I like to think backwards. So like, real quick, and I'm not evading the question, I promise. Let me just think of the other forwards that are in the Western Conference.
Give me a cap or no cap.
I'm saying that.
All right, go ahead.
Because in order for me to answer that, I have to think who else is, LeBron James. Hell no. Anthony Davis. Hell no. Okay, let me start thinking of some forwards. No Kawhi. Kevin Durant's on the Eastern Conference. No Giannis.
Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yeah, I need some playoff action from them first. And also he might be considered center. So I mean, damn. All right, there's more than 2 forwards in the Western Conference and they're not both on the Lakers. All right, Rockets. Jokic is a center.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Say yes to this? I refuse to give you a full answer before I think of any other forward that might make the shit. All right, Draymond Green. Bro, there's got to be other forwards here. I'm hoping I'm missing someone crazy. There's no, bro. Help me out here. There's no other forwards that stick out to you in the Western Conference. I gave you LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. Kawhi Leonard's injured. Denver, no, not really.
You talking about power forwards? Like
any at this point.
Paul George can be considered a forward.
Paul George could be considered a shooting guard if you want to get crazy.
Yeah, shooting guard, small forward. Who's the top? Wow,
yeah, it's not easy. Yeah,
Michael Porter Jr. may be a sleeper. Also, who knows, man? That's what I'm saying. That's why I asked the question.
Put it like this: there is. Damn, what the hell? Okay, the Suns got DeAndre Ayton center, but I would say like power forward. I'm missing someone, bro. Honestly, whoever it is that we're missing, I apologize.
Zion Williamson.
I need him to win games. Brandon Ingram. I need him to win games. Obviously on the same team, but then again, when we're talking about the Dallas Mavericks, it ain't like there's about to be a huge gap. Shit. All right. Well, damn. I don't have a choice then.
Jared Jackson.
Jaren Jackson Jr. I think I mentioned Draymond, but again, either way, none of these guys are individuals who I feel like would definitely 100% make it over Kristaps. Again, outside of LeBron and AD. So I'm gonna have to say no cap.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know what though? Even going,
I didn't even say make an All-Star game. I just said return to All-Star form under Jason Kidd.
Right. And even go to like you said, your specific question: can he return to All-Star form? Cap, actually, cap. I'm sorry, I really am. It's one of those questions where, one, I got to be honest, like I always am. But two, in saying cap, that ultimately means that I don't think he's going to produce and whatnot. But just, put it like this. I will say this. I hope that Kristaps Porzingis does not remain a catch and shoot 7-footer. That is one thing I do hope. When he returns to not, all right, whatever. But please, J Kidd, please do not have this young man be a 7-foot catch and shoot guy. He is more than that.
I think there we go. You finally hit the nail on the coffin because, like,
I would just think of other players. My fault.
You finally hit the nail on the coffin. That's why I think it's no cap. To be honest, because I feel that the Dallas Mavericks. You look at Kristaps Porzingis. I feel that people talked about the Houston Rockets. They talked about the Dallas Mavericks. I always used to say that Dallas Mavericks and Houston Rockets were on the same offense, but people just like it a little bit better because it was Luka Dončić. Different sets, but it was still the main base was still centered around isolation. So you had Luka Dončić in the corner catching and shooting, and not Luka Dončić. You had Kristaps Porzingis in the corner catching and shooting, and it's just kind of like he can do that. You're making him a stretch big, but Kristaps Porzingis can do more. Have him come off pin downs in the post. Give him the ball in the low block. Let him hit his little turnaround fadeaway. Let him post up sometimes and back down people and try to shoot a hook shot over. He's 7'3". You have to utilize and run the offense through Kristaps Porzingis because I feel like Luka's going to always get his points no matter what. He's like a LeBron James. That's what made LeBron James so special and how they were able to go to the NBA Finals when LeBron James was 22 years old and then just being successful without having a lot of great talent. That's what Luka Dončić has to understand. I can still get mine. I can still get my stats. I can still get my points, but let me utilize and run the offense through Kristaps Porzingis first because I'm always going to get mine. And that's going to be, if Luka can mature like that, and then under Jason Kidd, because people got to remember, when Giannis was with Jason Kidd, Giannis was learning how to be a big guard. Like his shot was a little bit better, a little bit more smooth, more fluid. Go look at them old rookie tapes with Giannis, those first few years with Jason Kidd as a coach. So having Porzingis under Jason Kidd's wing is going to be probably better for his game and his play style, similar to it was kind of like with Giannis from a skill set standpoint. So that's what I'm looking at for Jason Kidd and Kristaps Porzingis. That's why I'm saying it's no cap.
I mean, I think he'll pull it off. I mean, I'm definitely rooting for him. I know Knicks fans probably still a little salty in terms of, not even necessarily how the trade went out, but just, the idea of, the departure and him wanting to leave and all that. But, I mean, like I said, for Luka's sake, I hope for real though, like it's one of those situations, man, where look, we judge players based off winning, right? We talk all the time about the Luka versus Trae, right? But let's be real here. The reason why we view Trae in a different light now isn't just because how good he is or isn't just because his team is winning, but in order for that to happen, the players around him had to perform, right? John Collins, Clint Capella, like all those guys. And so for Luka, if your second best player isn't playing up to par, we done seen so many players, try, right, and put a team on your back, but just can't do it. Unless your name is LeBron James or Michael Jordan, it's a very difficult thing to do. So in order for Luka's rank to have some weight to it, KP has to show up. So for Luka's sake, I hope Kristaps can return to all-star form. But yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
All right, y'all. Peace.
It's your boy, M.I.K. Smith, also known as A-Kiss. Make sure you guys go follow No Pump Fakes wherever you get your podcasts.